Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple; Mark Zuckerberg, the co-founder of Facebook; Tiger Woods, the greatest golfer; Brad Pitt, the actor; Richard Branson, the co-founder of Virgin Group. Do you know what is so common about all of them? They are some of the richest people in the world, and they have been dominating the present world. There is one more thing common about these people. They were successful in saving themselves from a trap that most people proudly but unknowingly put themselves into. The one hope that keeps you going. In the United States alone, there are more than 500,000 parents who does not send their children to school. Ironically, most of them are teachers because they know how skewed the system is. On the other end might be you. Someone who might be studying in a school or college, struggling to complete your assignment on time, forced to maintain 90% attendance, might be memorizing the books and following all the rules forced on you, with just one hope that once you are graduate, you will find a good job. Once you start earning your monthly salary, you will buy a big house, and then a car, then one more car. You will get married, have a few kids, send them to school, then get them married, retire with a hefty bank balance, and then play with your grandchildren, and so on. But the reality is not what is being promised. You work hard for 21 years to earn a graduation, and then you don't get a job. And then you give up hundreds of job interviews, and you get rejected and get mobbed by friends and relatives. You stop going out and meeting people. You lock yourself in a room and pray and do everything you could do to get a job. Slowly, your self confidence and self esteem declines. Eventually, you end up finding a job. Even though the salary is less and you don't like the job, you decide to take up the job. Since your salary is not sufficient to save up and buy a house, you decide to take a home loan and buy a house. And since you don't want to leave your car Porsche empty, you end up taking a car loan to buy a car. Meanwhile, your kids grow up, your expenses shoot up, and you lock yourself from all the four directions. All this, you are filled with constant fear of job loss and thoughts of the EMIs and expenses you are supposed to meet if you lose your job. Eventually, you start to forget about your dreams. Every morning, you wake up and go to work and come back in the evening, and slowly that life will become normal to you. And when you are in the deathbed, you will consider yourself unlucky despite working so hard. The hidden truth is the education system that you have been blindly following since your childhood has been made to fail you. The size of the schools that you are sent to might make you feel grander, but the people who built those schools were consciously aiming at eradicating the will of the students who are part of the system because they wanted them to be obedient. Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, Roger Federer, Bill Gates, Mike Tyson all did not get into the current education system, yet they are all highly successful and living a much better life than most of you. In the year 1870, the army of Napoleon goes on a war with Prussians. Despite being the best army, Prussia loses the war. The puzzled Prussian leaders goes in to find out the reason for the failure, and they find out the reason that Prussian army did not follow the orders of their leaders, instead fought with their own brains. On the other hand, the army of Napoleon only followed the orders, and because of the failure of the Prussia, had to let go half their territory and had to sign a peace agreement. After putting in a lot of brains, they eventually got an idea to build a system, and the Prussian education system was born. The sole purpose: the Prussians were afraid of losing military superiority and they wanted to produce a cadre of mindless, obedient soldiers. As a result, education system was made compulsory from the age of 5 to 13 years. 8 years of controlled teaching so that the soldiers did only what they were asked to do. They wanted to transform the coming generation to people who blindly obeyed everything their superiors told them without questioning or even thinking for themselves, and it gave them the exact results they wanted. They created a generation of people who believed them blindly, and the greatest trap since the formation of the world was born: the education trap. Well, now let's talk about the progress of the Prussian education system. Among of all these, the exponential growth of the Industrial Revolution demanded a lot of labor. Since most people were working for themselves during that time, there was a huge shortage of factory workers. Meanwhile, the many other countries started implementing the popular Russian education system and successfully produced obedient citizens. The farmers, small business owners, and their children were brainwashed that they would be given great jobs and a monthly payment if they were educated from the education systems run by their countries, and the more they were educated better the jobs and payment would be. The sole purpose of the global proliferation of this education system was to kill the creativity and confidence of the individuals and fill them with only one option to make money. And to earn that money, they had to work as a labor in these factories, and slowly the shortage of labor started to reduce. Thomas B. Macaulay, aka Lord Macaulay, proposed to promote English education in India during their rule in India, so that, in his own words, education should create a class of persons Indian in blood and color but English in taste, in opinion, morals, and in intellect. Another Lord, Lord Bentinck, the Governor General of the East India Company, passed the law, and since then Indians were enslaved to English education. But most Indians thought the British wanted to teach them English. From clerks to the officers of the British Army were Indians, and they were brainwashed that listening to the British was a duty of Indians. They wanted obedience. It will be too late by the time you realize that you are trapped. The moment you are born, or may even when you are in your mother's womb, your parents start planning to send you to a good school. And they take all the pain and proudly get you an admission in the best school they can afford. And your parents relax thinking that the all must do is pay the fee, that these schools and teachers will help you build your future. But what is the reality? They don't see behind most of the schools. A fresh, limitless, curious, and creative mind that could have done wonders are forced and suppressed to follow a syllabus combined by various subjects, and if you think about anything else, you will be punished. It will affect your gauging system, marks, and you will be judged based in on your marks by your school and your family. But have your parents ever questioned what these schools, teachers, or the coaching centers teach their children? How many parents will question the teachers of their child when they don't do well in their exams? Instead, they might punish and blame the child. Let me ask you a question, and I want you to comment the answer in comment box. Do you really believe that the current education system that you are in has transformed your life in the way that they have promised you? Is your syllabus upgraded every year according to the change in the world? Most of the teachers that taught you language does not even speak to them well. Who cares? Because all they want to teach is to be obedient and silent without questioning anything. But if you use your common sense, you will understand that the schools and colleges are training the child only to find a job once they are graduated, and preferably a government job. Even if it is at the lowest grade, a government is what everyone wants because it stays with you till your death. You are never taught to be independent. During your entire schooling and college process, you are not even taught to be self-dependent. Why? Because the system that you are trapped in was not made to make you a fully independent person. The goal of the system was to provide the industries with an affordable and sober workers. The entire system is creating workers who can follow the orders of the boss, respect them, and work 24 by 7 with the hope of getting a paycheck at the end of the month without questioning even once. More than 25% of your life is dedicated to this education system. So that day you go and work for someone who has lesser education than you and help them fulfill their dream. They know that if you become self dependent, you will not listen to their orders. You will question them and you will raise your voice against their wrongdoings. But the saddest part is you will never stop understanding this part. But the saddest part is you will never understand this trap because when you are put to this trap, you are too young, and by the time you realize it, it is often too late. By then, you would be brainwashed to a level that you feel it was right, or you are with so many responsibilities that you can never come back out of it. You are forced to keep earning money every month, and if you don't, your family and your society will treat you like poo. And despite of you and your parents spending so much money, you will live rest of your life for a meager paycheck. Now let's investigate some facts. A recent report by Intelligent, an online magazine dedicated to student life, reveals that 38% of employers avoid hiring recent college graduates. Around 58% of managers, directors, and executives in the United States only say this cohort is unprepared for the workforce. With the spread of education over the last 3 decades, the Indian workforce is more educated, but jobs for them have hardly grown. More than 83% of the Indian youth are unemployed. The best college in the country, IIT, could not place 8,000 students in the year 2024. IIMs are trying to catch up with placements this year. There has been a reduction of 10 to 15% reduction in campus placements this year. The situation in the Pakistan is kind of the same. Whether we are talking about this place or that, both are same. The education system is same. So how to escape this trap? If you keep following this trap, you will never become a millionaire. You will get stuck in this rut. You will never live the life you wanted. You have two options, whether to stick on in the system and put your kids in the system, or you must explore your own ways, what you want to do in your life, how much money you want to earn. Don't settle for somebody else's dreams. When you completed your 12th grade, you might have taken 1 year off to prepare for an entrance exam, but you cannot take 1 year off to pursue your dream. The world does not need anyone who does not know a skill and only owns a college degree. Times have changed. Change with the time or else you will go obsolete. You still have time. Think and act now. You do not have to spend lakhs of cash and 5 to 6 years on college degrees anymore and yet comes out knowing nothing. But you can learn a lot more with the online skills for just smaller cost and lesser time. If you are a parent, don't limit your kids to physics, chemistry, and maths. Don't coach them by their marks. Give them exposure. Guide them to their dreams, not yours. Tell them what they can do in their life other than the traditional education. If the society don't change, you be the light to your child and let them be the change. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it and if you agree with me, then leave a comment.